Hello, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to show you how to create different hat styles in Clo 3D. Let's jump right into it. For the first example, I will start with a simple and easy style. A Santa hat. In 3D window, I have brought in the male avatar. Turn on Show Avatar Measures and check the avatar's head circumference. Use Rectangle tool from 2D window toolbar. Create a rectangle pattern for the hat band using this measurement. Place this piece in 3D window using arrangement points. Try to move the piece as close as you can to the avatar, or the piece will fall down to the ground easily when you simulate. Connect two ends with sewing tool. Strengthen the pattern and click Simulate. Part of the avatar head is showing through the hat band. Once you lower the particle distance, it will fix the issue. For now, I will leave it as is, so I won't slow down my computer speed. Freeze the pattern. Go back to 2D window. Add a center point to the hat band. And I will get the half measurement. Create a new rectangle using this measurement as the width. And the height according to your preference. For this example, I am using 16 inches. Use internal polygon tool to add a diagonal line. Right-click and choose Cut. Delete extra piece. Add a point to the diagonal line to match the center front length. Create a curve internal line from this point to center front. Select the line, right-click and cut. Delete extra piece. Click Center Front Segment. Right-click and choose Unfold. Position this piece above the hat band in 3D window. Use sewing tool to attach this piece with hat band. And close the center back. Simulate. Lower particle distance. And adjust the hat on avatar to make sure no avatar parts are showing through the hat. I can add color and choose fabric type for that hat. To make the pom-pom, use Ellipse tool to create a small circle. Lower particle distance to 5. Move it close to the tip of the hat in 3D window. Use Tack tool to attach this pattern to the tip. Adjust thickness in Property Editor and scale the pattern in 2D window until you get a round shape ball. If you want to have a smoother surface, you can lower particle distance to 1. But since it will be in fur material, I will leave the particle distance as 5. Now I can go to Render window. Make sure you assign a different fabric for hat band and pom-pom. Choose fur in material type and adjust the fur shape in Property Editor. And here is final render for the Santa hat. Pretty simple, right? Before moving on to the next style, I want to talk a little about selecting hairstyle on avatar when making hat pattern in Clo 3D. I have uploaded a female avatar in 3D window. You can see the fit of your hat will change according to the hairstyle. To get a better fit for the hat, I will suggest choosing the hairstyle with less volume. For male avatar, buzz cut style is the best choice when creating hats. For the next demonstration, I will show you how to create beanies. I am going to demonstrate 4 different variations. The first version is the basic beanie style. To make the pattern, I need to check the avatar's head circumference. It's around 22 inches. I will divide the measurement by 4, which will be 5.5 inches. Use this measure as the width to create a rectangle in 2D window. For the height, I am going to put 9 inches for now. I can adjust height later after seeing how it fits on the avatar. Add a center point on top segment line of the rectangle. About 3 inches down from the top, add a point on the vertical segment line. Use internal polygon tool to connect these 2 points and create a curve shape. Add a center internal line inside the rectangle piece. Select the line, right-click and choose Cut. Delete the other side. Then select the center segment line again, right-click and choose Unfold. Select both curved lines, right-click and choose Cut. Delete extra pieces. And I have finished 1/4 of the beanie's pattern. Select one side of the segment. Right-click and choose Unfold. Now I have made 1/2 of the beanie hat. Repeat the same to unfold again. I will get a complete pattern. Use arrangement points to place this piece around avatar's head. Move and rotate the position. Click Simulate. Adjust the position and add thickness according to your preference. Select bottom segment line. Right-click and choose Roll-Up function. It will bring out the roll-up window. Enter the distance and number of roll-up. For my sample, I want a one single fold around 2.5 inches height. Click Simulate and adjust hat position. By the way, when using Roll-Up function, it will automatically lower particle distance to 10 on selected pattern. After roll-up, that hat bodice became too short. So I need to increase the height. Use Edit Pattern tool to select all the upper points and segment lines. Left-click any segment line, hold it and drag up to increase the length. Click Simulate and now the hat is looking better. However, I still don't like the curved shape on the top. To make it less curvy, I will select all the curved points and drag them up to make it longer. Simulate again. And I like how it fits on the avatar now. I will lower particle distance again to let fabric drape nicer. When finishing, adjust the fit. I will select material type in Property Editor. If you are using new version of Clo 3D, you will be able to choose knitwear option under material type. There are 10 different type of knit stitching you can choose and adjust its properties. One thing to mention: when you choose to use knitwear, it will slow down your computer speed. So try to change the material at the end of your process. Now I have decided on the knitwear stitching. I will also add print to the fabric texture. And here is the final render for the basic beanie hat style. Now I have the basic beanie hat pattern. Using this pattern and convert it to the next variation, gathered beanie, is pretty simple. For the second variation, because I am not going to roll the hat up, so I can use the same height. But if you want to make a gathered beanie with fold up, then you will need to add the amount of the fold to the pattern. To make shirring, I will need to add internal lines to the pattern. Then add split point to determine which section I want to gather. Select the sections. Go to Property Editor and turn on Elastic function. Adjust ratio according to your preference of how much shirring you like to add. Click Simulate. It fits well, but I like to have a more even gathering for this hat. So I will add more internal lines to achieve the look. When making shirring style, it's better to select a softer material, and make sure to lower particle distance to get a nicer drape. Now I like how it looks and I will choose a different knitwear stitching and add color. And here is the render for the second beanie variation. Next variation is a two-piece beanie. First, use half of the head circumference measurement to create a rectangle. Add a center point to the top segment. Use Edit Pattern tool, right-click on the point and choose Add Dart. For this example, I made the dart 1 inch wide and 4 inches long. You can adjust the dart size according to your preference. Use Smooth Curve tool to round the two corners. Place this piece to the front of the avatar head. Make a duplicate of this piece and place to the back of the head. Connect side seams with sewing tool. Click Simulate and adjust the hat position on avatar. The top of the hat is too square looking. So I will reshape the curve using Smooth Curve tool to make the top narrower. Simulate again and I think it fits much better. Select bottom segment lines. Right-click to choose Roll Up to create the fold-up look. Simulate again to do a final check and make sure there's no other issues. Then I can lower particle distance and start adding finished touches. This type of beanie will have a flatter top. It's just another option you can use for your design. The last variation is the pleated top beanie. This style is a little bit complicated when connecting all the pleats together. For this style, I am using a female avatar. The head circumference is 21.38 inches. To make it easier, I am going to use 22 inches to create a rectangle pattern. Place it on avatar in 3D window and simulate. Create a roll-up fold at bottom. Use Add Point Split Line. Move cursor to the top segment line on the pattern. Right-click to bring out split line window. Use uniform split, enter 12 segments and click OK. From these 12 segments, I will divide into 3 sections. Add internal lines to separate each section, so I don't get confused when sewing them. Each section, I am going to sew 2 pleats. Make sure sewing direction match when you connect 2 segment lines. Once I am done with 2 pleats, joint them and make them into 1 single pleat. Repeat the same to finish the other 2 sections. By the way, I had a hard time to keep pleats folding correctly during simulation. I found that it was easier when I make the hat upside down. Cut and sew the roll-up fold section and freeze it. Sewing pleats this way, it's easier to adjust them during simulation. Strengthen the pattern will make it easier to adjust the pleats. When finishing all 3 sections, the last step is to connect all 3 sections together. Rotate the hat back to original position and place on avatar. Simulate and do the final adjustment. Lower particle distance and add material type and color. And here is the final render for pleated top beanie hat. For the next demonstration, I am going to show you the 2 different ways to make beret hats. First is the classic beret. Go to 2D window toolbar, use ellipse to create a 12 inches diameter circle. 12 inches is the average adult beret size, but you can adjust it according to the head measurement. Rotate the piece and place it on top of avatar's head. Create an internal circle inside the pattern using the measurement of head circumference. Get rid of unnecessary points by converting them to curve points. Make a duplicate of this pattern. Right-click on the internal circle and choose Convert to Whole. Place it under the top hat pattern. Freeze top hat and use sewing tool to connect 2 pieces together. Click Simulate. Use gizmo to move and lower the bottom hat piece. Unfreeze top hat. Strengthen both patterns and simulate again to let it drop on the head. Adjust the position of the beret and then unstrengthen both pieces. To finish the hat opening edge, you can use binding or make a self-facing. For this classic beret, I will create a headband around the opening. Make a rectangle pattern using head circumference measurement. Place it around avatar's head. Sew the headband to the inner circle and close the 2 ends. Simulate and adjust the position. Lower particle distance to get a nicer drape. The last part is to add a loop at the center of the top hat. Create an internal line at the center of top hat pattern for the loop position. Then use rectangle tool to make the loop pattern. Attach the loop to the hat and click Simulate. After adjusting the loop length, add thickness to the headband and loop. Choose material type and add color. And the classic beret hat is done. Pretty simple, right? Next version is a 6-panel beret. The circumference of the female avatar is 21.38 inches. I will use 21 inches and add 9 to make it 30 inches. This measurement will determine the width and fullness of your beret. You can decide how much fullness you want to add. Create a rectangle with 30 inches width and 8 inches height in 2D window. I am using 8 inches for the height, and I can always adjust it later after fitting on the avatar. Select both side segment lines. Right-click and choose Distribute Internal Line between segments. Enter 5 offsets and click OK. When all the internal lines are highlighted as yellow, right-click and choose Cut and Sew. And I will get 6 evenly divided panels. Ignore the other 5 panels. I only need to work on one and make duplicates later. Go to the first panel. Right-click the bottom segment and add a 3 inches offset internal line. Add a vertical center internal line to the panel as well. When I created the rectangle, I added 9 inches fullness. Use 9 inches divided by 6. Each panel has 1.5 inches ease. So, to make the beret opening to fit the head circumference, I need to deduct 1.5 inches on each panel. Go back to the panel piece. I will add a point to the bottom segment line. Since I am working only half of the panel, use 1.5 inches divide by 2 equals 0.75 inches. I will add a 0.75 inches point from the side. Use internal polygon tool. Connect this point to the 3 inches internal line and to the top center point. Use smooth curve tool to curve the upper internal line. Then select both segments. Right-click and choose Cut. Delete extra pieces. Right-click on Center Internal Line and choose Cut. Delete the other half. Right-click again on the center line and choose Unfold. The first panel pattern is done. Remove the 5 original panels. Make a duplicate of the new panel. And move both pieces to the front of the avatar. Select both patterns and make another duplicate. Rotate and place the new duplicate panels to the side of the avatar head. Use sewing tool to connect the panels. Repeat the same to add the panels to the opposite side. Once complete all the sewing, strengthen all pieces and click Simulate. Adjust the position and unstrengthen. Next, I will add a headband to the hat. simulate and check if there are any issues. Overall, the beret fits well, but I wasn't crazy about the curved shape on the upper hat. I will move the top hat points to elongate the curved portion on the pattern and make them straighter. Now I like the fit and I can start adding details to the hat. Make sure to lower particle distance to get the better result. And here is the final render for this 6-panel beret hat. Next style I am going to demonstrate is bucket hat. This is probably the first style that everyone will learn to create when you first start using Clo 3D. Before making that pattern, let's take a look at the silhouette of the bucket hat. It has a narrower top that gradually widens towards the bottom, creating a flared brim. Go to 2D window, use ellipse tool to create a 7.25 inches diameter circle as the crown for the hat. The average crown size is around 7 to 7.5 inches. Select the top and bottom points on the circle and convert them to curve point. Rotate and move this pattern to the top of the avatar's head in 3D window. Freeze the piece. Use half of the circle length, which in this case is 11.38 inches. To make it easier, I am going to round it up and use 11.5 inches. Use this measurement to create a rectangle and make the height around 3.5 inches. Remember, from the bucket hat silhouette, it's gradually wider toward the bottom. So I will use fullness line tool. Select top and bottom segment lines from this rectangle. In the fullness window, choose both direction. Add 2 inches to the slash line and click OK. And this will transform rectangle into a slightly curved pattern. Rotate and move this piece to the front of the avatar head. Connect this piece with top crown. Copy and paste this pattern. Move to the back of avatar head. Sew it with top crown and the front panel. Strengthen the pieces and click Simulate. There's no problem with sewing, so moving on to the next step. Click bottom segment line on the front hat panel. Use this measurement to create a new rectangle pattern with 2.5 inches height. This will be the brim for the hat. Use fullness line tool to increase fullness on the slash line like what I have done previously. For this piece, I will add 4 inches fullness. Move this piece to the front of the head and connect to the front hat panel. Then make a duplicate and place it in the back. Once finished sewing, strengthen patterns and click Simulate to check the fit. By the way, try to use stiffer material or add bond when making bucket hat. It will hold the shape better. Now the bucket hat fits pretty well on the avatar. I can start adding details like top stitchings around brim. Add colors and print. Lower particle distance and it's ready for rendering. When picking the hat styles for this tutorial video, baseball cap is definitely on top of the list since it's a gender-neutral hat that offers both style and practicality. For the demonstration, I am going to show you the 6-panel cap style. I have uploaded a new avatar in the 3D window. The avatar's head circumference measurement is 22 inches. Create a rectangle that's 22 inches wide and 6 inches height. The height for the cap is according to the head size and your preference. If you have a cap hat at home, you should definitely measure it and use as your size reference when making the pattern. Now I have the rectangle in 2D window. Select 2 side segments. Right-click and choose Distribute Internal Line between segments. Enter 5 offsets to divide the rectangle into 6 panels. Click OK. Right-click the internal lines and choose Cut. Delete 5 panels. I am going to work on 1 panel only. Add a center internal line to the pattern. Use internal polygon to connect top center point to the bottom side point and create a curve. Right-click on this new curve line and choose Cut. Delete the extra portion. Then right-click on Center Internal Line to cut and delete the other half panel. Right-click on the center segment and unfold the pattern. Remove unnecessary point on the pattern outline. Move this piece to the front of avatar head. Strengthen the pattern and make a duplicate. Sew the center front seam. Select both pieces. Copy and paste to make a new duplicate set. Rotate and move this 2 new panels to the side of the avatar. Repeat the same to add another set to the opposite side. Connect all the panels with sewing tool. Click Simulate and adjust the position to make sure it fits well on avatar. Next I will add brim. First, freeze 2 front panels. For brim, the average size is around 2.5 inches to 3 inches. I like it bigger, so I will use 3 inches. To create the rectangle for the brim, I need to get the 2 front panel width. In this case, the total of the 2 front width is 7.6 inches. For the height, I will use brim size 3 inches plus 2, which will be 5 inches. Right-click on the top segment line from the rectangle. Add a 2 inches offset internal line. Also add a center internal line. Use internal polygon to create a curve line from top side point to the intersection point. Then add a second curve line from 2 inches internal line side point to the center bottom point. Select these 2 new curve lines and the center internal line. Right-click and choose Cut. Delete all extra sections and unfold this pattern. Rotate and move this piece to the front of the head. Add thickness and strengthen. Use free sewing tool to attach the brim pattern to the front. By the way, after making the curve on the brim pattern, the width is wider than the front panel. So make sure to use free sewing tool to connect the piece instead of segment sewing tool. Click Simulate. It fits fine, but the brim doesn't have a nice curve. Create a center internal line to the brim pattern. Right-click to add more internal offset lines on both sides all the way to the end of the pattern. Select all internal lines. Turn on simulation and lower fold angles slightly until the brim reach the curved shape you like. Stop simulation. Select the brim pattern. Add bond to make this pattern stiffer. Right-click to choose Layer Clone Under. Assign a new material with 0 opacity to make this underlay brim pattern transparent. Remove link editing and freeze the pattern. Simulate and make sure there's no issues. Delete all internal lines on top brim pattern. Simulate again, and this will get rid of the ripple lines and make the surface smoother. Lower particle distance. Shorten all the underlayer internal lines and make sure all the endpoints are not on the pattern outline. Unfreeze underlay brim and freeze top layer brim. Simulate. This way, you will have a smooth edge around the brim. Now I like the fit of the cap. I can start adding details. I am going to make a cutout on the 2 back panels and add an elastic band. Then I will make a facing to clean finish the cap hat edge. Add a shanked button on the top center of the cap. And the last part is to change material type, add texture and color. Here is the final render for the mesh back cap. Some of the baseball cap will have front appliques such as a patch, embroidery logo, heat transfer or printed graphic. To make the applique lay smoothly in the front of the cap, it's better to have a one-piece front panel. Since I already made the 6-panel cap pattern, it's pretty simple to change from it. On the front cap panel, add a 3 inches point on both center front curved segment line. Use Smooth Curve tool to replace this section with a straight line. Use Edit Pattern tool to bring both points slightly toward the front. Click Simulate. I can see that I need to reshape the curve on the upper portion of the center front seam. You can use Edit Curvature tool to adjust it. Or, like what I am doing here, I will add a point to the upper curve line and move the point to reshape the curve. Once I am happy with the shape, delete the other side of the front panel. Right-click on center front segment and choose Unfold. Connect the other side to the cap with sewing tool. Simulate. It fits okay, but I think I will lower the center front point a little more. Now I like how it fits. I can start adding graphic to the front. For this cap, I will add a letter K graphic. After uploading the logo with graphic tool, I can change color and add stitching lines on the brim and the cap. Before rendering the cap, I will use Clo 3D Auto Generator to create normal and displacement maps for the graphic. So it will give the height to the logo and create a more realistic look. The last style I am going to show you is Trapper Hat. Trapper Hat was designed to withstand harsh winters with ear flaps and warm lining. It was traditionally worn by hunters and trappers. Over time, it evolved into a fashion item, appreciated for both its functionality and rugged style. There are a few different ways to create Trapper Hat pattern. In this tutorial, I am just going to demonstrate one of them. First step. The head circumference of the male avatar is 22 inches. I will add 1 inch ease to the measurement and make it 23 inches since most of the hat are made in thick heavy material like fur. Divide it by 2, I got 11.5 inches. I will use this measurement to create half side of the hat first. Before I do that, here is the structure of the top part of the hat. It's a symmetrical shape with 2 center top panels and 2 side panels. Go to 2D window. Create a rectangle with 2.5 inches width and 10 inches height. Rotate and move this piece to the top of avatar head. This will be the center top panel. Use fullness line tool. Add 2 inches fullness to the center front seam in both direction. Delete reference line using trace tool. In 3D window, make sure to position the bigger curved segment line toward center. Next, I am going to create the sight panel. I have figured out the half circumference measurement earlier, which was 11.5 inches. I need to deduct the top center panel width. So use 11.5 inches subtract 2.5 inches center front width and 2.5 center back width. I got 6.5 inches. Create a 6.5 by 6.5 square. Add a center point to one of the segment line. Create a curved line from this center point to the side point. This half curve line length need to match half of the smaller curved segment line from the top center panel. The smaller curve from the top center panel is 10 inches. So half of that will be 5 inches. Right now the curve line for the side panel is almost 8 inches. I need to scale down the square using Transform Pattern tool. Turn on Show Line Length from 2D window toggle menu to make it easier when adjust the length. Once it's close enough to 5 inches, add a center internal line. Right-click and choose Cut. Select Curve Segment. Right-click and choose Cut. Delete extra pieces. Then unfold to get a symmetrical pattern. Rotate and place this piece on the side of the head. Connect side panel to the center panel. Select both patterns, right-click and choose Symmetric Pattern with Sewing. Sew the center front seam. Click Simulate and check if there's any issues. Strengthen the patterns. And I can start making the lower part of the hat. The lower hat will start from side panel to the center back. So, use 6.5 inches plus 2.5 inches equals 9. Create a 9 by 8 inches rectangle. Move it to the side of the head. Use internal polygon to make a cutout on the piece. The size of the cutout is up to your preference. The shorter side will be the center back. Longer side will be the ear flap. Use Smooth Curve tool to round the corners for the ear flap. Connect this piece to the side panel and center back segment. Strengthen and make a symmetric pattern for the other side. Freeze top center panel to help stabilize the hat. Click Simulate. It fits well. Next I will make a new rectangle using total center front panel width, which is 5 inches and 3 inches height. Curve 2 top corners and remove unnecessary points. Strengthen the pattern. Attach this piece to the front panels. Move it to the front of the head and click Simulate. And I have finished the front flap for the hat. Now the basic trapper hat is done, and I can start adding details. First, I am going to add 2 small decorative flap on the side. Then I will add strap on each side of the flap with buckle. Add texture, print, and material type. And it's ready for rendering. I hope this video will give you an idea of how to create different style of hats in Clo 3D. Once you understand how to make the basic styles, you will be able to develop your own variation. I will add these hat styles to my Connect Clo set page and you can download them for free. You can use the link in the description to go to my Connect page. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.